Hello there. This is my one-take video for Adaptation. I'm actually not going to be saying that much about Adaptation, the film, or the book on which it was based, The Orchid Thief. Mostly because I can't find my copy of The Orchid Thief. I used to have a copy. That's what I scanned to give you all the reading for Adaptation. So I'm beginning to doubt my method of organization in my library that I talked about in a previous video. So I have 3 shelves of books, one of which is mostly hardbacks, and the shelf you saw the other day, and I have another one, and I can't find the Orchid Thief anywhere. Part of the issue, I'm sure, is that it's sort of an in-between genre. It's creative non-fiction. So it could be in my fiction section, but it's not. Or it could be in my journalism section, but it's not. And I don't have a creative nonfiction category. So, anywho, I can't find the book, and so I can't talk about it. However, I did find 2 books that came out about the same time as The Orchid Thief, and also, like The Orchid Thief, epitomize the creative nonfiction binge trend in the 90s. The first one is, The Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil by John Berendt. This was on the New York Times bestseller list for like months and months and months. Came out in 1994. I think it was like still on that list, the New York Times bestseller list in like in 96. Anyway, a wonderful book. It's very sort of quirky, and the author again sort of becomes a character in his own book. Both of those are characteristics of creative nonfiction. Genteel society ladies who compose notes on their husbands' suicides, a hilariously foul-mouthed black drag queen, a voodoo priestess who works her roots in the graveyard at midnight, a morose inventor who owns a bottle of poison powerful enough to kill everyone in town. Yeah, it's set in Savannah. In some sense, it's a book, sort of a biography of Savannah. And a lovely city, by the way, if you haven't been there. I recommend going in the winter time because it's quite lovely in the winter. The other book I want to show you, creative nonfiction, I guess you could call this really memoir. Also a very popular genre in the 90s, still is, of course. Angela's Ashes by Frank McCourt. This is a book that McCourt took decades to write. He was a school teacher in the Bronx in New York City and didn't have a lot of time for creative writing. And so he worked on this piecemeal over the years. And when it finally came out, it was an amazing bestseller. And most of what makes it a bestseller is not the story. It's basically about, Frank McCourt, his story of growing up poor in Limerick, Ireland. A miserable story, but he brings to it a lot of humor and poignancy. So a wonderful story, but again, it's really the writing style, McCourt's writing style, that makes the work, the voice of the literary work. And again, that's not something that can be translated to the screen. I don't know if you've seen it, but Angela's Ashes did get an adaptation a few years back. It got some Oscar nominations. It was okay, but that's like you take the story and remove it from the narration and the voice, and it's not much of a story. It's a story that thousands or hundreds of thousands have experienced. So anyway, this came out in 1996. It was on the New York Times bestseller list for years. Like Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, a great book. I don't think McCourt's put out a couple books since then, but nothing substantial. Okay. All right. Let's see. Or let me just say a few things about adaptation, in addition to what I've already mentioned in my film essay. Adaptation was the first film on the syllabus. It's really what inspired the whole course. There are a lot of well, the reason why I think highly of adaptation, it does seem to distill most of the themes in the course, particularly the idea of trying to adapt an impossible to adapt book into a film. I think of all the ones in our syllabus, and there are many such films like that that are problematic. Uh, Adaptation has the most fun with it in terms of trying to play around with it. Probably the closest I would say is Tristram Shandy, in terms of another impossible to film book that has been given a film adaptation that also has fun playing around with that whole idea. Uh, Another reason why adaptation is on the syllabus is I really like the work of Charlie Kaufman, the screenwriter. He also did Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind with Jim Carrey. Big fan of that movie. He also did Being John Malkovich, also a great film. Kaufman is one of the few screenwriters in Hollywood or anywhere really that you can claim as an auteur. So that's a French film term, A-U-T-E-U-R, auteur. And the auteur is the creative force behind a given film. In Hollywood, particularly the classical Hollywood period, that the auteur was usually the producer. The producer is the one who controlled the purse strings, but also tended to control the sort of creative vision of the film. In Europe and elsewhere, the auteur is usually the film director, who is usually also the film writer. So the writer director, probably the examples that come to mind are French New Wave directors like Jean-Luc Godard or Francois Truffaut, and they're sort of the classical auteur. Well, that group, the French New Wave, helped really to define the auteur theory in the magazine Cahiers du Cinéma in France. So again, very few screenwriters that are auteurs that you can look at a film and say, well, that's a Charlie Kaufman film, as opposed to like a Spike Jonze film. I think in adaptation, really the star in many ways is the screenwriter. And the screenwriter also, or the auteur, is also the one really who can brand the film. So again, a Charlie Kaufman film as opposed to a Spike Jonze film. And by the way, I think Spike Jonze is an auteur as well. Films like Her that came out last year. Okay. All right. Yeah, and again, Tristram Shandy, the similarities there in terms of making a joke out of the impossibility of adapting literary works, and also making fun or sending up Hollywood are two themes in both those films that actually make them both quite a lot of fun. I'll just mention that British film, and we're talking about Tristram Shandy, British film tends to have a love-hate relationship with Hollywood film, and that's been true for most of the history of the British and the American cinema. Though British films also often get nominated for Academy Awards and often win Best Picture and Best Actor, Actress, etc. I think the last one was The King's Speech a few years back. And this year there are a few more British films that are nominated for Best Picture and for Best Actor. And on that subject, if I can bring it up without too much problem, I'm going to switch over and talk about it. I'm poking at my Kindle, by the way. I'm at the Washington Post, Life and Entertainment. Actually, no, I want saved. Saved. Of course, it's not working. Nope, it ain't working. All right, here we are. Academy Awards at a glance. This is where I was before. This is the second time I've done this. Oh, here we are. Nominations. Okay. the nominations for Academy Award. It just came out, and there are what 8 nominated for Best Picture. Birdman, Grand Budapest Hotel, directed by Wes Anderson. One of his films is on another version of this class. Fantastic Mr. Fox. Imitation Game with Benedict Cumberbatch, big fan. Boyhood, the film done by Richard Linklater, who also directed Scanner Darkly. This is the film that he took 12 years to film. Amazing film. I don't know if it will win Best Picture, but it deserves it. American Sniper, Whiplash, Interstellar, Foxcatcher. I haven't seen any of those, but I want to see Interstellar. Best Picture, American Sniper, Birdman, Boyhood, Grand Budapest Hotel, Imitation Game, Selma, The Theory of Everything, and Whiplash. Grand Budapest Hotel is the one who won the Golden Globe, though I think Birdman and Boyhood have a good chance there. Actor in a leading role, Steve Carell, Foxcatcher. You know, I think that's basically his nose being nominated, or his prosthetic nose. One thing I didn't mention in when I did my video on The Hours, in terms of Nicole Kidman winning Best Actress playing Virginia Woolf. She did a fantastic job and deserved the Oscar. But the fact is, she doesn't look anything like Virginia Woolf. Nothing at all. If you look at pictures of Virginia Woolf, much longer face, darker hair, totally different facial structure. So anyway, so Steve Carell's nose is being nominated. Well, he probably does I haven't seen it. He probably does a great job, and I do like his work. Bradley Cooper, American Sniper, Benedict Cumberbatch, Imitation Game, Michael Keaton, Birdman, Eddie Redmayne, The Theory of Everything. So Cumberbatch, Redmayne are both British, from British films. Michael Keaton, Birdman, that's who I'd like to win, but I don't know if he will. It might be Cumberbatch. Though Cumberbatch will probably win some other time. He's usually pretty on when he acts. Actress in a leading role, Marion Cotillard, 2 Days, One Night, Felicity Jones, Theory of Everything, Julianne Moore, Still Alice, Rosamund Pike, Gone Girl, Reese Witherspoon, Wild. Julie Moore's going to win that award. Okay, actor in supporting role, Duvall, Robert Duvall, The Judge, Ethan Hawke, Boyhood, Edward Norton, Birdman, Mark Ruffalo, Foxcatcher, J.K. Simmons, Whiplash. Simmons won the Golden Globe. He'll probably win the Oscar. Interesting that Ethan Hawke got nominated for Boyhood, as did Patricia Arquette. But, shoot, am I going to forget his name now? the actor who plays the boy is not nominated, which is interesting. He probably deserved it. Actress in a supporting role, Patricia Arquette, Boyhood. She won the Golden Globe. She'll probably win for Best Actress. Directing, Alejandro González Iñárritu for Birdman, Richard Linklater, Boyhood, Bennett Miller, Foxcatcher, Wes Anderson, Grand Budapest Hotel, Morton Tildum, Imitation Game. I'm going to go for Richard Linklater, Boyhood, because that is an amazing directing job. Animated feature film, Big Hero 6, Box Trolls, How to Train Your Dragon 2, Song of the Sea, Tale, The Princess Kaguya. I don't care. Okay, cinematography, they all did great. Costume design, media reacts, documentary feature, Citizen 4, that's what I'm rooting for. The Edward Snowden documentary. Film editing, I'm going to go with Sandra Dare, Boyhood. Again, that film is amazing and the editing is amazing. Foreign language film, I think that's all I need to do here in terms of my picks. I mean, the controversy this year is that Ava DuVernay for Selma did not get nominated as the first African-American female director. Probably should have. David Oyelowo, who played Martin Luther King, probably should have got a nomination as well, and did not. A film Shut Out, Into the Woods didn't get much. Okay, there you go, my Oscar picks for this year. That'll be coming up soon. But just a brief mention that Eddie Redmayne and Benedict Cumberbatch, both nominated British actors, and the Best Picture nominees, The Imitation Game in the Theory of Everything, and the two British entries. And the adaptation, they really should have a category for best adaptation, would be, wait, there was one. All right, I better just quit while I'm ahead. Well, I'll leave it there. Bye.